Here is a fact that should bother you more than it does. The Ash people of Paraguay live in one of the most biodiverse jungles on Earth. Hundreds of edible species, mammals, birds, reptiles, fish, insects, plants, fruit everywhere. All around them, 98% of their calories come from 17 food sources, 17. Not because the other options taste bad, not because they don't know the other animals are there, because those animals are forbidden. And this is not unusual. Food taboos, deliberate collective refusals to eat perfectly available food, exist in every human society that has ever been studied, every single one, no exceptions, which raises a question worth asking. Why would a species that spent millions of years struggling to find enough food voluntarily decide that some of it was off limits? The word taboo itself comes from the Polynesian word tapu. Captain James Cook first recorded it in his logbook in 1777. After a visit to Tonga, he described watching his crew offer food to local people who refused to sit down, refused to eat, and kept repeating one word, tapu. It means roughly forbidden, sacred, untouchable, not just undesirable, something in a different category from ordinary things. Cook had no framework for what he was seeing. His crew had sailed to the other side of the world and watched people refuse food for reasons nobody on the ship could explain. What Cook didn't know was that he would find the same thing everywhere he went, because the same thing exists everywhere. Here is the first reason ancient humans refused to eat certain animals. The animal belonged to the group, not metaphorically, not symbolically in a way that sounds distant and academic. The animal was family. In societies that practice totemism, and evidence of totemic belief appears across every inhabited continent, a group would identify with a specific animal: the eagle, the bear, the wolf, the jaguar. This animal was the protector of the group, the ancestor of the group, sometimes literally the founding member of the group in the stories they told about themselves. You do not eat your family. And if you did, if you killed and consumed the totem animal, the belief was specific and consistent across cultures. The animal would take revenge, not the individual animal, the spirit of the animal. The relationship between the group and that species, stretching back generations, would be broken, and whatever protection that relationship provided would end. This was not irrational fear. This was a social contract with the natural world, and breaking it had consequences the whole group would bear. Here is the second reason: status. In Polynesian societies, the laws around food were among the most strictly enforced in the entire social structure. Women could not eat with men. Specific foods were reserved for chiefs. Commoners could not eat certain fish, certain birds, certain parts of certain animals at all. These were not suggestions. The penalty for violating a food taboo in pre-Christian Polynesia was sickness, death. Supernatural punishment that arrived automatically, no judge, no jury, no enforcement needed, because the universe itself enforced it, or so the belief went. What it actually did was make food a language. What you ate told everyone around you who you were, what you were allowed, what position you held, who could sit with you at a meal. The forbidden food wasn't just forbidden, it was a wall, a marker, a signal to every person in the group about where the boundaries of power sat. The chief could eat it, you could not, which meant the food itself became a symbol of everything the chief represented. Here is the third reason, and it is the most surprising one. The taboo may have been right. Anthropologist Marvin Harris spent years arguing something deeply unpopular in his field, that most food taboos, the ones that look purely religious or cultural or superstitious, have a practical explanation underneath, not the explanation the people holding the taboo would give you, a different one. The most famous example is the pig. Pigs are forbidden in both Judaism and Islam. The religious explanation involves purity, divine command, the spiritual nature of the prohibition. Harris looked at the ecological situation in the ancient Middle East and found something different. Pigs need shade and water to survive. They compete directly with humans for grain. They cannot be herded like sheep or cattle. In the dry, hot conditions of the ancient Near East, raising pigs was genuinely expensive and impractical compared to the animals that could graze on land humans couldn't farm anyway. The taboo, Harris argued, made economic sense. The religious framing came after. The practical logic came first, which means the forbidden food was, in many cases, forbidden for reasons that worked, even if the people following the rule no longer remembered why it started. The rule outlasted the reason, and they kept following it. Here is the part that ties all three reasons together. The taboo wasn't just about the food. It was about the group. Every food taboo does the same thing regardless of its surface justification. It creates an inside and an outside. The people who follow the rule belong. The people who don't. In a hunter-gatherer group of 25 to 150 people, where belonging was the difference between survival and death, this was not a small thing. A person who ate the forbidden animal wasn't just breaking a rule about food, they were signaling that they didn't share the group's beliefs, that they didn't respect the group's relationship with the natural world, that they were the most fundamental sense, not one of them. The punishment wasn't just supernatural, it was social. Ostracism, exclusion, the same escalating punishment system we covered in the Cheaters and Thieves video, but triggered not by stealing food. Triggered by eating the wrong animal. The food taboo was, in this sense, one of the most efficient group cohesion tools ancient humans ever developed. It cost nothing. It required no enforcement. It was self-policing because everyone in the group enforced it on everyone else, because everyone in the group had the same stake in maintaining it. And it worked across tens of thousands of years and every continent on Earth. Back to the hundreds of edible species, 17 food sources. The animals they don't eat are not random. They are not the ones that taste bad or are hard to catch. Some of them are the ones the group has a relationship with, a history with, a story about, and in a jungle with no written records, no courts, no legal system, no police. The story is the law. The forbidden animal is proof that the group exists, that it has a past, that it has rules, that it is a group at all. Here is the uncomfortable conclusion. You have food taboos too. Not the same ones, not the totem animal, not the pig or the sacred cow, but there are things you will not eat. And most of the reasons you give for not eating them are stories. Cultural stories, aesthetic stories, stories about who you are and what kind of person eats that. The mechanism is identical. You are not above this. You are doing the same thing. The jungle just looks different now. The thumbnail for this video shows 4 cave people staring at a glowing piece of meat on a stone altar. They are clearly hungry. They are clearly not going to touch it, which is one way to put it.